Let's call the meeting to order. We have a motion to approve the minutes of the January 5th, 2026 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Have a motion to approve the minutes.
I second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. In discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Jessica?
So your next item is item 3A, which is a public hearing. And so just as a reminder, I'll kind of, introduce the item. Charles will open for a public hearing, have any comments, public hearing closes, and then y'all are free to discuss. So this application is a historic overlay zoning application for 515 Bailey Avenue. The applicant is Isabella Baker, and this, just as a reminder, we just did a historic overlay request in that same neighborhood, 1301 Reggae, which is right around the corner. But just to refresh your memory, some of the historic overlay zoning designations have a different procedure than a normal COA. Different criteria that y'all don't see as often, so I just kind of wanted to go over those in a bit of detail. So when someone applies for a historic overlay criteria or zoning, they have different criteria than like our COAs do. It's under section 50-130, criteria for designation. What the applicant does is they submit a narrative, photographs, any supporting documents, and then they apply under at least one of these criteria. They can select all, they can select multiple, and then HLPC has to review these criteria with all of their information and then decide if the criteria they've picked out is correct. If it applies, you can select additional if you feel like actually this has a lot more history than they applied under, and you can select additional criteria. Ms. Baker did select criteria 2 and 6, so that this property is associated with events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of local, regional, state, or national history, as well as represents an established and familiar visual feature of the city. Usually that means it's a property that's been there for a very long time, and we're all used to seeing it, and it's very much ingrained part of the neighborhood. So HLPC, in reviewing the information, needs to find that at least one of these criteria is valid before it would go on. If HLPC does approve this overlay request, it then goes to Planning and Zoning on February 9th. If they approve it, both of y'all's recommendations goes on to City Council on February 17th for final approval. There's some history in your packets, as well as photographs, original drawings. Essentially, this building is very closely related with the doctor's office at 1301 Reggae. When that doctor's office was built, this property was already listed as the local physician's residence, and has been owned by the Baker family for that same amount of time. When they built the property where the doctor's office is, this kind of came all kit and caboodle. So it really was associated as one property for a very long time. There's even in the narrative from the applicant talk about how Charles Bright's sister and her husband lived in that house as a rental home when he came home from World War II. So there's some interesting history about this building. It was built in the 1910s, roughly there around. Does have some stylistic features of that time period. I love the finials on the porch. I always think those are beautiful. And so the applicant has some photographs in here, and just a visual reference for you all. It is right across the street from Blunt Park, and right down from Memorial Hospital. And 1301 Reggae is the one that was just put under overlay directly to the right of that property on your screen. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this after the public hearing.
Okay. We'll open the meeting for a public hearing on the historic overlay zoning application request for the property at 515 Bailey Avenue. Any speakers? Questions? There being none, now we'll open it for discussion for the board. Any questions from the board members or Jessica?
Yes, Jessica, the zoning board,
Yes.
on what basis will they either approve or disapprove? Are they gonna go by these same rules and basically haunt us?
Yes, so this criteria that's on your screen, the section 50-130, they look at the same criteria you all do. Historically, and it's not a rule, but I have not seen planning and zoning go against HLPC's recommendation. Typically, it's just we make sure that this process is transparent for the public, and making sure that every board associated with zoning in any sense,
Okay.
whether it's HLPC or zoning, sees it before council does. Essentially, y'all are the vetting process.
If they turned it down, what would happen then?
If they turned it down, that application is essentially dead. The applicant could come back and say, actually, I have more information. I have additional research. Typically, if planning and zoning or HLPC has ever said no, it's just, there's not enough information. It being from 1900 is not enough. So typically, it's just we're not saying you're wrong. It's just we need more information to prove
Okay.
that fact. So they could reapply.
This is just for everybody's, could they appeal to the city council?
They could, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, any decision from essentially any appointed city board can be
Okay.
appealed to city council.
Just so everybody knows what's going on.
Yes, sir.
All right.
If we designate this in a historical overlay, are they coming back to restore it, or what are they planning on doing with that?
So if a property is put under historic overlay, it's now under the regulation like every other property, whether it's downtown, the Zion Hill District, Washington Square. They do now have to fully maintain the building. It cannot fall into a neglectful state, which would trigger demo by neglect. If it was a different owner and they didn't know about it, a different property owner can ask for that property to be removed. But if it is not removed, it's now part of a historic overlay. They would have to come before this committee to do any exterior changes to the building. They have to properly maintain it. They're eligible for historic restoration grants. So they kind of are treated the same way every other historic district is.
I'm assuming since they're going to trouble to get on the historic overlay, that they're gonna do something with the building, not sell it. They're gonna plan on maintaining it and restore it, or do you know that, or do we need to know that?
Not so much. So even if the owner did sell this building, if HLPC puts it under overlay, it's still under overlay. So they have not said they had any intention of selling it, but I do believe they intend on maintaining it for the future.
I mean, it could be that she wants to sell it, but she wants the next owner to take care of it, and the city kind of will enforce that.
And we have seen some people do that, especially if it's in a busier developing neighborhood. We've seen some people that have done it on North Street where they feel like, I'm not going to keep this property forever, but I want to make sure when I do sell it, it's under historic overlay, so it has an extra layer of protection.
That was my question. I didn't know if she was preparing to sell it, or she's preparing to renovate it, or what.
That I don't know, but if there is renovation plans, they will have to come before you all. If there are plans to sell it, this overlay zoning goes with any sale.
That doesn't have anything to do with us approving overlay.
Yes, sir.
Is the siding on the house the original siding, or has that been changed?
That I do not know. I don't know if applicant's not here. As far as I know from speaking with the applicant, there's not been a lot of material change since they've owned the property. And that's been since Dr. Baker built that office area. So there's not been a lot of change other than essentially maintenance to the building. But I don't know if that was the original 1910 siding or if it was updated before they bought the property.
Okay.
But it is a siding that's been there for a very long time now.
Okay, because it looks like more modern siding is why I was asking.
And that I don't have an answer to, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we
About that.
approve this application to come under the historic overlay.
There's been a motion to approve the application for this property at 515 Bailey Avenue to come under the historic overlay zoning. Do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion's approved.
Great. And y'all's motion will carry to planning and zoning and then on to city council.
Do you see the 6 we agree with?
If it's not stated, it's what's in the packet. Because those are the two criteria they applied under. So unless you add another one or remove another one, your motion is for the two items they applied under, as far as the criteria. All right, so your next agenda item 3B is discuss and consider HRG reimbursement for 711 North Mound Street. This is the Sigma Gamma Fraternity House. This applicant was approved to repair and replace exterior windows. Their estimated cost at the time was $12,900. They blew that right out of the water. And so the applicant turned in copies of invoices and proof of payments in over $23,000. They went above and beyond what they were planning on doing, did additional windows, siding, things of that nature, but then also spent over $12,900 on just the windows they originally came to HLPC with. So they were funded at 11%, not to exceed $1,426.70. And since they did far exceed that, staff would recommend going with the $1,426.70, which is 11% of their original project cost. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this one.
No questions? Do I have a motion to approve the application for reimbursement in amount of $1,426.70?
I move that we approve HRG 2025-009 and release the funds.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
I seconded.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, I'm sorry.
Aye.
No, seriously. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Our next application is item 3C, excuse me, which is a certificate of appropriateness for 601 East Main Street. This applicant is Brendan Todd, Brendan's Barbecue. So what he is requesting to do is extending essentially a metal and mesh wall and roof line back about 8 to 10 feet on his property. Right now, off the back of the property, there is already a slanted metal roof with that metal and mesh wall that's enclosing a barbecue pit. And so he's adding an additional pit. So essentially, he's just wanting to take that wall, extend it back 8 to 10 feet, same roof line, same materials. We toyed with it being under regular maintenance, but since we are moving a wall, wanted to make sure we were transparent and come before the committee. So the roof line, the materials, all of the colors, everything will stay the same. It will just be an additional 8 to 10 feet. B, D, J, and K in your ordinance do apply to this request. You can see on your screen there's a picture of what the metal and mesh wall looks like, and then just my drawing, an approximate 8 to 10 feet additional that will be enclosed just so they're not out there barbecuing in the rain, essentially. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have about this application.
Any questions? There being none, do I have a motion to approve the application for appropriateness of the property located 601 East Main Street?
I'll make a motion that we, where's that?
We have a motion to approve. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying nay. Ayes have it.
Just for the record, John is recusing himself from this one since he does own the property. This is not his application, but he has reviewed it. But just for transparency's sake, we always like to state for the record that he has filled out the conflict of interest affidavit and then will not be participating in discussion. So this item 3D is a COA for 422 East Main Street, COA 2026-002. The applicant is Danielle LeBeau for brushing up Knack, and then the property owner is John Sloan. So this property in March of 2024, HLPC approved a mural on the side of the building on the painted portion of the brick at 422 East Main Street. Originally, it was a mural of Domingo Ramon standing in some traditional clothing. And since then, Brushing Up Knack has kind of updated the proposal. And now the mural will depict Domingo Ramon and his caravan entering Nacogdoches through the El Camino Real. And so the applicant did submit an updated sketch. But since that time when the mural was approved, HLPC went through several review processes and approved the addition of Chapter 11 to the Nacogdoches Design Guidelines, which specifically goes over murals. So while this is an area that was already approved to be painted, since this is an updated mural sketch, we do need to do a new review process to make sure that when you are making your decision, you are looking at that Chapter 11 of Design Guidelines when making this decision. So B, D, H, J, and K of your city ordinance applies to this as well as Chapter 11. And in your packet, I did put an excerpt from Chapter 11. in these design guidelines. Essentially, there's 4 main points for murals that consideration should be made for how a mural will conform to the overall historic overlay district that it's in, since our overlay districts, are all very different from one another. 2 is that murals of a historic nature should strive to be historically accurate. Number 3, murals shall be kept in good condition for the life of the mural. And then 4, basically lists some different types of murals that are inappropriate in historic districts. Ones that tend to look like a traffic sign or traffic signal, murals containing sexually explicit images, containing gang affiliation symbols, or murals containing a political message should be avoided in our historic districts. So I do have a few images for you. This first one on your screen was submitted with the packet. Essentially, you can see a map behind it, Domingo Ramon's caravan, and then Brushing Up Knack did send me an updated version. To the layman, non-art person, there's not a lot of difference in my eyes, but there is changes to the map in the background. It's much more detailed, has a few other landmarks on there, and more detail to that. So they wanted to make sure you all had seen the updated sketch. Oh, it is different. Yes, text is different too. Thank you, Chris. I was just looking at the images. I'm like, this still looks good. So they did submit that after the packet was published, and so I wanted to make sure you all had a chance to see this as well. And then just the image that same thing you looked at back in 2024, this is the wall we're talking about. That wall is actually painted brick, except for right around the windows is brick that has been unpainted. So the area right above the older white sign is the area we're talking about for this mural. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and I believe the applicant and several other people are here if you have any questions for them.
Yes, will the white sign be removed or will it stay?
So it will be removed.
Does this owner agree to having the sign removed, possibly relocated?
Just trying to get a feeling for the size of it. Does it only cover the first window, or how many windows does?
Do you want to come up here and talk, just so you can be recorded on
Looks
the
like
mic?
one.
The question was, does it only cover the first window? I was just kind of getting a feeling for the size of the mural.
So as far as the size goes, I would like to bring up JD. JD is the artist, and I don't want to take anything, I don't want to say it wrong and then, have another issue. So JD would be the best one to tell you about that.
Okay.
This is just a concept drawing, basically is what we're looking at. And as the guys are coming into Nacogdoches to settle out. And so eventually we are going to do a photo shoot to make it more realistic with the people that you see there, and even Father Ramon and the children that were brought, and goats. They had goats. As you see that, if you look just right above, to answer your question, if you look at the Father Ramon figure, which is on the left, holding the child's hand, you see that?
Yes.
Go straight up, there's your window, and then the other window is to the left. So that kind of gives you a ballpark idea about how much area that the map is going to take on that left side. And you see the house that is already there, which is like a foot just between buildings there. And so we had to work around that, build that structure. And then obviously we would take that color and it would also scroll up and be more consistent. Again, this is just a concept drawing and of the scroll of the map. And actually he is actually holding a map, the character in the middle with the blue vest there, he's actually holding the map. And as you're looking at what they're looking at, kind of sort of as the depiction as they're coming in to settle out Nacogdoches. Now, again, the whole thing was to settle out like 4 missions. Three or four, was it three? 3 or 4 missions. Anyway, and they were dropping off these priests as they were going through all the way down to Natchitoches. And so, and Father Miguel, he almost didn't make it. He came in from behind and eventually caught up to him, but he got real sick and then eventually came up and caught him. But anyway, that's the concept drawing right there.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet.
Any other questions?
Oh, do I stay or?
you want to.
I was just gonna say, this mural is bigger than the one that we had okayed before, isn't it? Because if I remember correctly, the other one was not going to take in the window, and it was just going to be there next to the wall, next to the corner, if I remember correctly.
Well, the original mural was going to also be a single individual, and it was, as far as square footage is concerned, this one's gonna be roughly 868, give or take 5-10 square feet here and there. But the other one, the Domingo Ramon, was gonna go from the ground all the way up, that we could.
Okay.
That was the original one, assuming that sign could have been moved 2 years ago. So when you compare how big this one's gonna be as opposed to the other one, it's not much different, but I understand what you're saying as far as height goes.
Can you, since why is Bear there on the map?
Okay, so before they called it San Antonio, that was the original name of San Antonio. So when they came in, that was
San Antonio wasn't there.
right.
It was called Bear.
That's what I was saying. That's what's the original name before they called
It
it.
wasn't there either.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I don't think so, Perky. We have a
I'm just
historian there.
I'm just going on.
Oh,
What
she's being real quiet
I'm
here.
going on what the map. that we
Okay,
had.
I don't mind if, I just kind of, okay.
Okay.
If we actually encourage that information because JD does in-depth
I would check on,
research. Please do, yes, because we don't wanna put that.
I mean,
there.
they
That's not-
came, I'm not a historian myself officially, or anyway, but I don't think, but there was not a town there. So,
This map is from Stephen F. Austin's drawings of that time period, around that time period.
well, Stephen F. Austin wasn't alive.
Right. This came a little bit later.
Yeah, okay, I'm being a stick in the mud.
Well, if at that time
But
it's
they-
not there, we certainly wouldn't put it
Well,
in.
we could go ahead and put a big blank spot on that for you.
No, just leave the mountains and the prairie and all that stuff there looks great.
I even-
Jeff, you're sure there were goats then? We have goats?
There were goats, no domestic dogs.
Okay.
That's one area.
Yeah, so,
Now, I'm real sensitive about San Antonio because we were before San Antonio and Bear.
I have no beef with San Antonio.
I'm just zealous for our Nacogdoches history. So y'all,
Where did you learn that, or where did you hear?
you can go online and read the journal itself, Ramon's Journal.
Ramon's journal.
Yes.
So how did he describe that area?
It was, there was Indians and buffalo, and he describes being where San Antonio is, but there was, he just said it was a beautiful setting, that kind of stuff. If I could send you the journal.
We need to.
It's a good reading. It's very pleasant reading.
Yeah, I mean,
Another person that's also assisting us with to make sure that we, since you brought up the particulars or the minutia, the costumes and things, there's a lady that will be assisting me to make sure those are accurate. She's a historian for that time period. So any of the costumes that we have, people that are representing those particular characters, they'll be
Okay.
accurate to that time period.
Is historian Peggy Hasso? No.
Yes, Miss Peggy.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
yeah, I would say, I mean, as far as the labeling the places on the map that weren't there yet, there's like a certain level of artistic license. Like if we want to point out to the person looking at a picture, like this is what will eventually be San Antonio.
Well, yeah.
But it's like, do you even need to do that? I don't know.
I'm sorry to be tedious.
No, listen, history's history.
Yeah,
Sometimes
but
history-
by the way, I think it looks great,
Well, good.
except for Bear.
Well, there's gonna also, just like the other ones, there's going to be a plaque that accompanies it, and then that plaque's gonna have a QR code, and that QR code is going to have the history, which can be, if it's incorrect, we can go in there and we can edit the audio that we produce and then change that. So, but please do send me that.
I'll send it to you. If you'll leave me your email address, I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Thought he was gonna say he's passionate about goats, honestly.
Okay.
I'm a real
Jessica, do you have any
Pharisee when it comes
questions?
to this stuff.
Okay. Do you have a motion to approve the request for the certificate of appropriateness? It's 422 East Main Street. Have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion to what? To approve or disapprove?
I make a motion to approve it, yes.
Okay. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Great. And that is all I have for you today. Your next meeting will be Monday, March 2nd at 4 p.m.
Thank you very much, Jessica.
Thank you all.